to Atlantic Ocean. Upon me hills, so country to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, Liberia, for Liberia. Yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday, it's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information. Education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of On Point. This is our anniversary month, and we are going to be paying tribute to the progenitor of this idea, Mr. Edward Doe, one of the greatest minds I've ever met. Young man grew up in Nuku Town, Liberia, went to St. Patrick's. And one of the things I've never heard about, but I did hear about, was to have a co-top of the class. Is that summa cum laude? Y'all would have bred people? They call it small summa cum laude, huh?
The top, yeah, the top is
yes.
Summa cum laude.
For two people to score the exact amount of grade, GPA, this is how brilliant this man was. I was blessed to have met him in 1984 in Newark, New Jersey.
Can I post his picture?
Please do.
Okay.
This is Edward Doe. Those of you who have come in contact or whoever met this man knows who he is. So every year in September, we take a day to pay tribute to him and his dream. I was at home one night when the phone rang. I have not heard from Edward Doe for a long time. And he called me, he said, Jerome, I have a great idea. I have chosen you to be my partner of starting a show on Focus on Liberia, just like they did on CNN, Crossfire. He said, you are a diehard fan of the CDC and a supporter of George Weah. He said, and I am somebody who vehemently opposes George Weah, and I want to take you on a debate, weekly debate, Sunday. Do you have time? So I said, Mr. Doe, send me the write-up, send me the proposal, I'll look at it. He sent it to me, we went over it over and over, and then finally we came up with the topic, with the name, and the format. And we began the show. A few months after we began, he will call me. He said, Jerome, for some reason, when I'm sitting, my back just begin to hurt and it goes down to my butt, and then now it's going to my neck. So I told him, I said, Eduardo, you need to take some time off and take care of yourself. Go and check your doctor. He did. He came back. They said, maybe I had gas. After 3 sections, I told him, I said, you need to go and see an internist. He went to see an internist. The internist sent him to an oncology. He called me. He said, Jerome, they want me to go and see an oncology. It was then that it dawned upon me that it was more serious.
Wow.
Edward Doe went to see the oncologist, and they told him that he had pancreatic cancer. Just before that, he had landed one of his best spots, dream jobs. He has been selected from a batch of 200 candidates. He was selected to be the comptroller for the city of Richmond, Virginia. A black boy from New Crew Town was selected to be the comptroller for the great city of Richmond, Virginia, and we celebrated that position. A month later, he came down with his illness, and 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, Edward Doe was pronounced dead in Virginia. This guy was so brilliant. Those of you out there who knows this guy, who interacted with him, if you went to St. Patrick's or you grew up with him in New Crew Town, or you went to Kansas State with him where he also graduated top of his class. Accounting and finance was his major. You know Edward Doe, he loved to argue. Everybody he meets, he wants to argue. He felt he was smarter than everybody, and I will have to tell him, listen, my man, calm down. This is the kind of person this guy was. Edward Doe, brilliant, 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 brilliant person. So when he got real sick, when he passed, I went to his funeral. I took my twins with me. I met the family, I met his wife, I met his 2 babies. And the wife said, Edward Doe will cry because he wants to be on the show, he wants to argue. And I pledged to his wife, I said, don't worry. We will continue the show. So every time September came around, I would call his wife and his children, and we would pay tribute. But this time around, I'm not going to call his wife. I want to pay tribute to the men and women who have helped to keep his memory alive. Wherever Mr. Doe is, most likely in heaven because he was a devout Catholic, I want to believe he is proud of what we have done, what we continue to do, to keep his dream and his vision alive, discussing the issues. I told him we didn't want to make it too academic. We wanted to make it substantial, but we wanted to have divergence of opinions. Along that came Mr. Thule, Honorable Jimmy Eastman, Mr. Patmore, Mr. Anthony C., Dennis John. We kept it going, and then other folks came along. And today we are the longest uninterrupted show on Focus on Liberia. So we want to take our hats off to you gentlemen, great gentlemen, that have produced, that have struggled with topics. We have argued the topics. We have come on here day in and day out. You have your families. You will leave your families and give us sometimes 3 hours, 2 hours every Sunday. Jimmy Eastman would be in the park with his family, and he would tune in. Mr. Padmore, I understand one time he was sick, and he would come on. That's commitment. We don't have to come out here to argue every day about politics and who's right and who's wrong, but it's about building community. It's about building a society that we love. And these are the moments, these are the education that we are looking for beyond the classrooms. So ladies and gentlemen, do us a favor, share this show. Mr. Eastman, you can share it in our chat room, so I can share it too, because I guess Facebook have banned me from sharing. So if you share it in our chat room, then I can send it out. But ladies and gentlemen, do us a favor, share this show. We're going to be showing, if possible, some memorable movement. We're going to be talking about each other. But let's take this time. Let me bring on Honorable Jimmy Eastman. Mr. Eastman, I'm going to dedicate this time to begin with you. Can we take down the photo, please, of Mr. Edward Doe?
Okay, hold on.
Yeah. Great. Let me put you in the center here. Mr. Eastman, today is the day that I have to give you your flowers.
Yeah.
We can't wait until you leave. We didn't know that Edward Doe was not going to be here with us after a few months of this show. We were talking futuristic, talking about what we're going to do in Liberia, and we're going to turn this place around, and we all should go home and all of that. And it turned out that tomorrow was not promised to anyone.
That's right.
For the next 30 minutes, 20 minutes, sir, we're going to dedicate this time to you to tell you thank you for what you have done for us, what you have done for the Doe name, what you have done for FOL. But the folks who want to know who you are, tell us a little bit about Mr. Eastman. Everybody sees Jimmy Eastman here, and they will curse you when you say something you don't like. This. Hopefully, Aliu can come on and curse us Bassa people. Then he turned around and said, I was born in Bassa, my grandparent, it was the first chief in Bassa. Nobody know him over there.
Yeah. Anyway.
Family,
okay. You know, I will first want to talk about what attracted me to focus on Liberia.
Great.
I used to listen to you, Jerome, and what our boy name, y'all used to be arguing every Sunday. Tule, very intelligent guy.
Very much.
Oh, y'all used to get in some arguments. Sometimes I said, but what are these guys talking about? That's what drew me, because you guys had that intelligent conversation. Both of you have polar disparity in vision and what, but y'all went at it. He was an ardent supporter of UP and Joseph Boakai. You were supporting CDC, and I used to love your exchanges. And I said, no, this is exciting. It was like, like one of those shows.
Crossfire.
I used to see. I used to really enjoy you every Sunday, and that's what drew me to it. So it's been an honor to be part of this organization, because so much that the organization is not biased to any one party. It's not given to a specific party, or it entertains opinions from various political divisions. And I think that is important. Many platforms tend to be too partial to one end. And I think you need that balanced representation, so that people have a different perspective on different aspects of our life, of our country, of the politics at hand. So it has been an honor to be part of it, and I think we can continue in this direction. We there's so much room for expansion, and there's so much possibility to explore as we now getting on radio, as we now trying to reach to our people in the hinterlands and all over Liberia, so that we can bring to them the opinions about what's going on with them, enlighten them about things that miss the news, and continue to support the promotion of Liberia to the world, to ourselves, and to our posterity. So I want to thank Focus at this point for allowing me this opportunity to join them in reaching out to our people, because there's so much we can do. We are a new republic, and we have room to grow, and it will require all of us with our right mind to make that contribution to make Liberia what it's supposed to be tomorrow. So I'd like to thank the station. Thank you very much.
Okay, just before we get to know who you are, there was this debate. Mr. Edward Doe was very keen. He did not want us to be like anybody else, for us to, because of rating, would be scandalizing people's names and getting into the gutter. Because he felt that once you got down that rabbit hole, it would be almost impossible. Now you're going to outdo the cursing. If you get into the cursing and the gossip and the scandalizing people's name, it's a slippery slope. You will never stop, and you will just keep going and going. So he wanted us to stay away from such topics and such events, and bring people on of character, talk about issues. The issue has to be legit. The opinion may vary, okay, because that's what it is. But the topic of honor discussion has to be legit, and that's what we do. What do you think about that format?
I think that's good. Some people tend to be drawn to gossip, to slander about people. I think it's important for us to stay above that level, especially if the truth is not being properly represented. We don't want to be part of misinformation. So I think it is healthy to be objective and to be as factual as possible, and not succumb to rumor and misinformation. As sometimes it's so tasty to easy to swallow. So as long as we maintain our integrity like that, we will stand for something, not just nothing. So I think that's the best way you guys presented it. And you're asking me a little bit about myself. I'm an engineer by profession, but I've been in management for many years now. Engineering management, building networks in the States here, fiber optic networks and various. We started the 5G project, whereas we were expanding wireless coverage to be able to support a wider bandwidth. And today we're enjoying it. You see, we are streaming. We're able to multitask while on one connection. So all that is due to the development of our technology over the years. And I was very chance to be part of that. And I look forward to bringing some of that back home on one of these days, where we can go to the interior and let all the schools be able to enjoy the luxury of internet connection. Because if a child in Saclipie can connect to the internet, they can get the same quality of education for somebody in Massachusetts or London. So it is important that we break through and get our people connected. So that's a little bit about me, and I will just leave it like that at this time.
Great. Mr. Padmore, our guest today, our honorary first honorary Eastman. The new thing I'm seeing now in the NFL, the folks are now, when they put their picture, they will say, I'm Michael Padmore from CWA or from Bassa High School or from Tottenham High. They feel proud now, they're beginning, right? They don't want to say Notre Dame or USC, so now they are going back to the high school because they want a family, people who grew up with them to be proud, this guy from Monrovia, and stuff like that. So I've seen a lot of that. Your take on Honorable Eastman, I mean, his contribution to what we have done here and continue to do.
Absolutely indeed. I don't believe Mr. Eastman and I crossed paths before On Point. I believe I was first introduced to him here on Point, and right off the bat, I knew he was different. I had come across Mr. Tule, Mr. Kidman, and I knew their likes, I knew their kind, and I knew what to expect. But right away, I knew that Mr. Eastman was of a diplomatic nature. And even if he had a strong point of view, he would still present it in that manner. And that's the way we have come to know him, as the diplomat. And he will argue his point. He will make his views heard, but he'll do it in such a diplomatic manner. It makes it hard for you to come back to counter him. But yes, indeed, we have been privileged to have Mr. Eastman here. We when he's not here, you can tell. You can tell when he's not amongst us. Yeah, the sugar can just be going on your own, Mr. Eastman.
Your autopilot.
But we appreciate you. We know the sacrifice it takes. For each one of us to pull ourselves away from our families, especially on Sunday, to do this Sunday afternoon. But we appreciate you. We appreciate the time and the years you've given, the co-producing that you've done. On those last many times when I can't make it or Jerome can't make it and we'll reach out to you, you've always been willing to step in and get things done. So we appreciate that, and we hope that we are doing this for many years later.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we'll broadcast one day from Liberia.
Yeah.
And that will be awesome. That would be awesome if we can do that. If On Point can broadcast from Liberia, that would be a great thing to do. So.
Honorable Eastman, let's talk about today. I was home and I got something for Dr. Dunn, and he showed a photo of, I don't know if everybody got it, about Sophie, the lady that was the owner of Sophie Ice Cream, and her work and what she did, her philanthropic work. That Liberia that the young folks now have not had the opportunity to experience. I know you have always preached reconciliation. You have always preached inclusiveness. You have always preached education. It boils down to education. Tell us a little bit about, your youth. What I know they will say we are prejudiced because we always say our generation is better than the generation before us, and the generation before us said the generation before them were living. Everybody's generation seems to be better, but in the realistic sense, what was it like when you were growing up?
Yeah, that's an interesting story. While we were growing up, it was more that we used to be together, hang out together. If we're in the same school or we play in the same sports, that is the only criteria we had. We weren't looking at.
Don't forget about the spanking.
Yeah, that will come to the parents. We weren't looking at where you coming from or whatnot. If you play sport, we in the same school. We're always looking for people who we can relate to and understanding. Um, we're not aware that there was some division among us. We didn't look at the division at all. We're negligent, but it was there. Is when I started going to LU and started attending one of the soup meetings before I realized, wow, there is something that I have been blind to. And so it was interesting to discover that, but I think we still have to rise above, no matter what we do. If we don't rise above, then we can't have unity, and we can't be as strong as we would be. But coming up, our parents didn't spare the rod.
I know.
You had to behave in a certain way. You can't curse. You can't do anything. You had to go to school. I mean, school wasn't an option. I hear today people, over in the U.S., they don't want to go to college. They say, I don't have to go to college. When we're coming up, that was almost a automatic that you go to college because you wanted to advance yourself. But we were a chance to have the opportunity, and there were many who wanted to go, but they didn't have as much opportunity. And I think that is where we need to focus on now. Enable everybody to have that opportunity to gain advanced education, or if it's not just a university level education, but the training, the skill set. We really need to focus on that. I hope this current administration realizes that the future relies on our ability to build capacity and develop our people. That is supposed to be the most important thing. And I'm fixated on this idea because I don't think we can rise without that. So I always go back to it, say that we have to give everybody a chance to get a skill that they will be able to survive on. And once you give them that skill, then you don't have to worry as much about giving them the job, because the skill will find them a job. So, and then that's where I am with this thing.
Let's go back to the house. Who was the disciplinarian in your house? Was it your mom or your dad?
Okay, my dad was a kind of off. He never used to like to discipline too much. I mean, he would bring the rod down if he had to, but my dad was a diplomat. He was in several countries, Ethiopia, Kenya, Sudan, and so he tried to approach many things that way. So he wasn't one to, but my mom wouldn't. She used to like what we call a wooden spoon. The wooden spoon, she wouldn't spare that rod. And we grew to appreciate that later on. But while you're going through it, you don't like it. But discipline is necessary for us, because discipline enables you to build character, to become a person of virtue. If without discipline, we can't achieve. So, as much as it was hard, the Oma used to didn't play with us. But after a while, she got a little, we started getting bigger, so she could the wooden spoon would break. But we still appreciate. We still have to respect her regardless. So that's how it was in my household. The Oma would be the first one to cut you, but if
how many siblings? How many siblings were home?
I have a total of 3 sisters and 1 brother. Okay, so we're not many in the home, but she wouldn't spare any one of us. So everybody had to abide by it or meet Mr. Wooden Spoon.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Isma, for your work. We do this every year because, like I said, tomorrow is not promised. We cannot wait until, Liberian people, we are very good at going to people's funeral and giving long speeches. But when you are here, they don't visit you, they won't call you, you get sick, they won't do anything, but soon you pass.
Wow.
Send me the link so I can send my contribution. Send me the link, let me send my contribution. So, Honorable, thank you very much. Let me have Mr. Padmo end this piece on you, and then we'll flip the switch to him. And then little after 6, then we'll go into the stuff. I'll close it out with Mr. Eastman.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, we are privileged. We are privileged to have you, I'm sure, and I speak for all of the Focus on Liberia family and our On Point followers and viewers. So thanks for the years. We look to see many more. We look to interact with you on many more topics, many more views, and and so it's going to be it's a good time. September is always a good time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, do us a favor, share this show, get involved. I know we all coming from church. It's all right. We read your comments. We want to thank you for tuning in. But every time you turn your TV on Sunday at 6 o'clock, at 4 o'clock, you expect to see people here with your show. And there's a lot that goes on behind the scene to how the show produced and put on. And these are the men. We are hoping if you are a woman out there and you want to join the panel, please come on. We want to have some women, but it's just hard to get our women. I know you are the head of household in many instances. But if you want to make a contribution, please come and join us. Now let's turn to Mr. Padmore. Mr. Padmore, we want to thank you. We want to honor you for what you do. You got a very long history. We have discussed that here. Your great-great-grandparents came. They were business people. They were entrepreneurs. They brought that entrepreneur spirit to Liberia and flourished. And as far as we are concerned, the Padmores are still business people. So we would like to talk to you a little bit to find out how has it been possible for generation after generation? Because usually the family do not continue businesses. The business usually die in the first and the second generation. It never passes the second generation. But after almost 200 years, the Padmores are still entrepreneurs. Let me welcome Mr. Padmore here. Mr. Padmore has been with us forever. He's a philanthropist. I met him when we had this Liberian girl that was running for America Has Talent. That wasn't that girl. What's her name? The young lady, Liberian girl that was.
Just Sam.
Just Sam.
Yes, just Sam. I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's when I was getting several emails from him on a daily basis. We have to make this girl. We have to make this girl. We do this, do this. That is the passion that this man brings to advocacy, to our discourse. You know, when these things are happening, you don't know that people are watching. But this is how I came in touch with Mr. Padmore, and it turned out that he joined our show. So, Mr. Padmore, we want to take the next 30 minutes dedicated specifically to you to thank you for the work that you have done and continue to do, not only for FOL, but for the community in your own way. The last time you were in Liberia, you're doing as much as you can. The last time you were giving scholarship, you were helping folks. You don't have to do that, but you were doing that. You and I were on a show where a young lady, she had a baby and they were homeless, nowhere. They were shack, and you said, we'll find a place for you guys to stay. And you did that. Nobody asked you, you did that. These are things that have left indelible mark in our community, in our memory. So tell us a little bit about who you are and who is Michael Padmore.
Man. I guess everybody kind of forms their own opinion. I'm just a Liberian. that's trying in my ever so weak way to be a Liberian, to be a good Liberian, to give back to Liberia, to give back to our society, wherever we find ourselves. And I'm hoping that is the perception that I give off. I know sometimes people think I'm a little too passionate or a little too forceful, but you can't apologize for passion. What the only thing you can apologize for is a lack of effort. Um, and so that's what I like to say. I'm a businessman. Um, I know. My father told me the story about he graduated from Memorial College, and
What your father
while
name?
George Arthur Padmore,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ambassador George Arthur Padmore. Um, and while his friends were leaving Liberia, some are going to Europe, some are going to other African countries, some are coming to America to go to school. His father sent him on a farm. His father sent him on a farm, so he never went to college. His father sent him on a farm, and for 4 years, he worked his father's farm. He managed his father's farm, and because of that, he bought his own farm and he built his own farm. So 4 years later, when his friends were coming home with their degrees and stuff,
Empty
yeah,
pocket, big degrees.
he had developed a business, you know, and that is the business that he will stand on and do all of the good things that he did. Um, and so, and it taught me a lesson, it taught me a strong lesson. And you asked the question earlier, about why the family still remains strongly entrepreneurial, and that was why, because all through all through my life, my father, he enforced that, he encouraged that, he taught that to us. He showed us the benefit of the private sector. He showed us the benefit of being your own boss, of being innovative, of capitalism, and all of the good things that can come from it. You know, um, and so that's it's just kind of ingrained in us. Um, how we carry ourselves and how we look for opportunities. And so even though he's not with us right, anymore, but when you teach good lessons to people, even when you are no longer around, they still tend to carry it with them. And so that's the kind of person I am. I've been incredibly blessed. A lot of people say a lot of things, but they are shocked when I tell them I enter America. I got off the plane with a backpack and $200 in my pocket. No man, no pa. They see you today, they see what you have today, and they think that somehow it just dropped from heaven. No, this was hard work, incredibly hard work, sacrifice, and just knowing what you want in life, who you want to be. So hopefully, I'm a good teacher to my kids, and that tomorrow they can build off of what I leave behind. But that's how I like to see myself. I come here every Sunday, not to win debates, but hopefully I can leave a mark that somebody listening can say, the thing when I put my mentor, he can talk plenty, but I want he talk today, it made plenty sense. Um, and so that's why I hope to leave every time I come on here Sunday. That we create a good show. We are immensely respectful of each other. I don't think people know that. They might see us argue back and forth and all that, but the mutual respect that we have for each other, beyond our politics, beyond our beliefs, is what really, really holds this show together. Um, and so I'm privileged, I'm happy, I'm satisfied to be amongst you good gentlemen, amongst our great viewers. And I hope to keep doing this as long as I can. As long as I can. Mr.
Great.
Sam Wallow is asking, what is the celebration about today?
Okay, can we put Mr. Doe's photograph up so we can
Yes,
admire
absolutely.
him? We have to celebrate Mr. Wallow himself. Mr. Wallow, you have been one of those that have followed us for years. One of these days we'll have you on, but we are today paying tribute to this man called Edward Doe. I don't know if you ever met Edward Doe, but Edward Doe was an intellectual, a hard debater, hard-headed guy that debated anywhere, anyone, anyhow. He's a typical crewman without, he just let the pig fight. He felt he was smarter than everybody. So he will call you and say, let's go debate. You know how some folks say, let's go shoot the hoops? This guy would say, let's go debate. And Edward Doe had contacted me in 2019 for us to start a show called Crossfire or something similar to what was going on or that had gone on the CNN. And we started this show together. And a few months later, he died from pancreatic cancer. And every September, we would dedicate a day to him, either the last or the second to the last Sunday, to pay tribute to Edward Doe and his family and his intellect. So after Edward Doe passed, it was just me. And I promised his family we were going to continue the tradition. That Honorable Eastman, Dennis Jar, Anthony C., we all began to scramble to make sure the show didn't die. And then Padmore joined us and everybody else came. So today we decided to put a little twist on the tribute to him. We will dedicate some of the time to those who have kept this dream alive. So 30 minutes was set aside for our diplomat, Honorable Eastman. And then the second 30 minutes would be for Mr. Padmore. We are celebrating these men. We want to know who they are. They show up every Sunday and do their work, but nobody knows who Jimmy Eastman is, beside those within his circle and his co-host. Same thing with Mr. Padmore. Those who grew up with him. Most of the folks now that we are older than most of our audience, they are young. They don't know who we are. When you talk, I grew up in the 70s. And when you're talking about things in the 70s, Wallow, the guy would say, you crazy. Mr. Gilman, you that old? No, the guy, hey, you really old, in the 70s, because most of them were born 1998, 2000, 2001. Can you imagine somebody born 2000? Can you take the photos down, please? So, Mr. Padmore, where were you born? Where you grew up?
Wow. That's wow. Okay. So I was born in Peacewall.
Okay, that's the original name.
That original name, yes. I was born in Peacewall, which is now Pinsville. Born in EAB Hospital. I grew up in Pinsville. I grew up in what today is called Pacopin. I remember when my mom, when they first built that house, there was no running water. Water and sewer had not reached that far. And so we had a well in the back and we had the machine that could pump water into the house. And then Packer Paint, because they built their factory, water and sewer extended the city line to Packer Paint, which was about, I would say, maybe 200 meters from my house. And that's where the city line stopped. And then my parents were the one that extended the city line from Packer Paint along the main road to our house. And then all of the neighbors started to connect to city water. But that's how long we have been there. Now, of course, city water goes far beyond that, beyond Omega Station towards Mambach and all that. But that's how far we have been there. That's where I grew up until 1990.
You have any siblings, or just you? You the only child?
No. I have 3 other siblings. I have an older brother and I have 2 younger sisters. And that's where we grew up in that area. Beautiful area. You know, the place where you didn't have to lock your door. Yes, you know, you could wash your sneaker and put it outside on a separate thing to dry, and you forget about it, and you wake up the next morning, and your sneaker still on top of the septic tank. Yeah, that's the place I grew up, where, you know, neighbors were family, and everybody watch you, and everybody was watching you, and you made mistake, they will flog you, and then when your parents come home, they will tell your parents, and then you get a second flogging, you know. Yes, and you call, you know, all of the neighbors, you call them auntie and uncle, you know, and the children you grew up as cousins. That was my early life. And then, of course, 1990 war came, and of course we had to leave, and we ended up in Logan Town. That began a whole different education for me. I mean, the drastic change from growing up in Painesville, suburban Painesville,
Suburban to urban life.
to growing up in Logan Town. Yes, it was a whole different education for me, of which I am greatly appreciated for, because it opened my eyes to things that I never knew even existed. But I had a whole different education for that, and that's where, you know, I spent my early 20s at. Learning a lot, learning how to get along with people, learning different set of people, different set of rules. Yes, indeed. Somebody said Logan Town is the hood. Logan Town is indeed the hood. That they play where you, when you wash your sneaker and you put it on top of
They will say you crazy there.
and you go inside. Somebody will correct your mistake real quick. Yeah, you know, so it was a whole different education for me. But, you know, it helped make me the person I am. You know, it helped make me the person I am. And in all of its challenges, you know, you still found people who care for people. You know, people who care about what happened to you. Sam Wolo, my older brother name is John. And I remember you from Joseph Jingirawa School. I didn't want to know.
I thought you were going to say Joseph Jingirawa days.
No. I remember you from Jingirawa. You put it that way, then people know everyone from Jingirawa. But that was my growing up, you know. And after that, I was opportune to come to the U.S. And then, you know, begin my third life here. And, you know, so yeah, that's my upbringing. You know, that's my upbringing right there. I have a very huge family on both sides, on both my mom's side, on my papa's side. I always tell people, say I can eat split pea and red with one hand, and I can eat dumbo.
But you haven't said anything about your mom.
That's right.
Oh,
who are the disciplinarian in the house though?
No, my mom. My father never beat me. My father was more of a lecturer.
Okay.
Yeah, if you do something wrong, he'll sit down and lecture you.
And Oma bring down the hammer.
My mom, she ain't got time for that. My mom bringing a rat in. Yeah, she bringing a rat in. She don't have time for all that kind of things. She not gonna lecture you. It was much later on. But you know, the funny part I will tell you is that when my mother started to lecture me, that's when I knew. You know, it wasn't. It's funny because it wasn't the beating or the lecture. It was just that change. Where she was like, I'm not beating you anymore. You know, you owe enough now to think and make good decisions. So I'm not touching you or ratting anymore. And just that stop, it made me to kind of sit back and review myself and then start to make good decisions. You know, that no, I'm getting to be a big man. I'm getting to be, you know, a grown person now. I need to start. I can't just be instinctive, you know. I need to be able to think things through and make good decisions. Just that change. And from there, you know, I mean, I went from being a hard-head begin, you know, to following instruction, following expectations, you know, and things like that. And then, of course, my little sisters were looking up to me as the big brother, so I had to be an example and all those things. But you know, but my mother was a disciplinarian. You know, she always would tell me, she said, I will not let you spoil. I will not let you spoil. Yeah. So you know, and today she always tells me how proud she is of me. You know,
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. Now let's go real quick. Your upbringing, right?
Hmm.
How is that different from you being now a father? Do you who's the disciplinarian in your house?
I'm the disciplinarian.
Oh, so you
My
flip
wife
it.
is.
You flip it.
Hey, no, I grew up amongst friends like that. I
Uh-huh.
grew up among friends where, or even not only friends but relatives, where the mom will always say, "Jay, we lay a park on."
Yep.
That's how my wife is.
That alone, that
Yeah,
alone,
that's how
that
my wife
alone
is.
would make you scared.
They'll be like, "Okay, lay a park on." So I'll say,
Shoot.
"Tell her, the Bible person now you get."
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
You gotta live up to that now.
Yeah, I the
Wow.
Bible person you can't do anything. She'll say, "No." Of course, I have 3 boys. So my daughter is a princess. She never does anything wrong. She just, I don't know where she's coming from, but she has very strong opinions, but she never a high kid. But my 3 boys, yeah, I had to, I realized at a very early age, I was raising myself again.
That's right. That's right.
So I had to do that, yes. But
Yeah.
it's been good. It's been good. They are really good kids. I've never had any problems with them. Police don't come to my door. They don't. I don't get problems from school and stuff. No, no, no. Never. They've been amazing kids, and I've been blessed to be their father. To be honest with you.
Well, this question go to both of you. Anyone can answer it. The burden of having a famous name, right? Permanent name. Everywhere you go, that burden of being a Padmo is there. You have to protect the name of being an Eastman. It pokes you. It kind of put you in a box because everywhere you go, you now have to think about. You're gonna reach back. Let's talk about that a little bit. The burden of name. I know even in a war, many people lost their lives because of the name.
Yeah.
Whether it is Johnson or Quiwampa or Doe, you cry. I mean, before when we were growing up, we didn't have the tribalism. It was this guy from Grand Bassa, they one from Sando. We never had the tribalism, but the name, the burden of a name. What is the burden of a name? Place where the parents have done so well. Let me start with Jimmy. Jimmy, you're a diplomat, so your father been an ambassador all over the world. What burden did they put on you everywhere you went?
Okay, let me tell you my story. Because I spent a large part of my early life traveling with my father. My father was Ambassador Nathaniel Eastman. I never grew up knowing about name, even though I knew my father had a position. We had our embassy life and all that kind of stuff. But I really never knew about name until I went back to Liberia. And the whole idea of that didn't resonate with me. In fact, I took myself to be as common as I could be.
Yeah, but Jimmy, when you go somewhere, you have to be very mindful of I don't want to spoil my father's name. I don't want to spoil
I
my family
should
name.
have, but I didn't. It only later on I realized that this name, I can't be ordinary if I wanted to, and so I came to realize that there's certain things that society expects of you, whether you want to be or not. But when I was coming up, I wasn't taking all that into consideration. I didn't, grow up with that, so I didn't think it was anything until later on. I began to realize that I have to go and behave in a certain way, or it would be worse. It would be worse for me if I don't. Why the good name and why you say the knee can carry you up, but you mess up, it carry you way down, way down. So I realized that later on, and that's when I started coming to myself a little bit. But in the beginning, I was rejecting it. I said, everybody should make the name for themselves, not because you people like this, you people like that. You need to make your own name for yourself.
Well, Mr. Padmo, my father was a preacher that came from the United Methodist background and all that. So everywhere you went, a preacher's son. So you gotta behave a certain way. You gotta do certain things. So all. I mean, it was just a burden. You go somewhere, you get into a fight with, oh, that woman gave me son, that the preacher's son. I mean, just that burden, right? So here you are. Your father have worked, pick himself up from bootstrap and done well, and now here you are. You come in now, everybody expect you to be hardworking, a guy who live a certain life, and a man who is bound to do better than his father. All that burden is upon you. You are Padmo, man. You got to do better. You can't do this. You can't do that. It's everywhere when your parents do well in certain areas. You don't have to be king or king, but you are actually representing your parent, your name.
So let me tell you a story. I went to St. Patrick's School from 7th grade to 9th grade, junior high school, and then I matriculated to CWA. My grandmother went to CWA. My mom went to CWA. All of my siblings before me went to CWA. So it was a family transition. Mm-hmm. No doubt, if I had my children in Liberia, they would have gone to the College of West Africa. So I left St. Patrick's at 10th grade and went to CWA. But I remember in junior high school, St. Patrick's, one of the things about St. Patrick was that when you eat St. Patrick, you got to have convent girlfriend.
If you went to convent, you got people here. We're
I don't want. I'm telling you, and nobody will dispute it. I tell you right now, if you're in St. Patrick's, and you get a convent girlfriend, you just go hire yourself. Yeah, just go hire yourself. Then you know what I mean. Yes. And so I went to visit this girl who had a reputation of her father being very stern. And so I go I carried 2 of my men in with me. Some of my bestie men, all 3 of us in St. Patrick's. And so we went over to the game house that day. When we entered the yard, the papa was sitting down there. But we were brave. I mean, walk up, and he said, "Yeah, how can I help you?" Yeah, gentleman said, "Oh, keen to see." I can't call her name right now. Right now, she married to beat me in that girl. I can't call her name.
Don't call her name. Don't call her name.
But we went and stuff like that. So he called her. She came outside. He said, "You know the gentleman?" She said, "Yeah." Then he looked at it. He looked at her. He said, "So who are you?" My friend called his name. Then my other friend called his name. Then I called my name. When I called my name, he stopped. He looked at me. He said, "Padmore?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Who your pa?" I said, "George Arthur Padmore." He said, "Oh man?" I said, "Yes." He said, "But get the people chair." Get the people chair and put it on. But it left an impression on me. As you can see, at this age, I'm telling you that story.
Yeah. And he asked for your father. Is it, "Oh man, you old man?"
Yeah.
Sorry.
He said, "Oh man, father?" I said, "Yes." And he began to tell me how, when he was in school, that my father used to pay his tuition and buy him books. That's the story he told me. Yeah. But it left an impression on me, like what you are talking about. And it was great. It's something for people in the absence of your father to praise him, to tell you how good of a man he was. It's a driving force for you to want to better the name or at least carry on, So it was one of the many instances where I knew the weight of my name, but it wasn't a negative burden for me. It was always a positive burden. Even today, as I call my name, whatever Liberian circle we are in, when I speak my name, I speak with a not with a burden, but with an upliftment that we have indeed done well, and I raise my children now in the U.S., but I take every opportunity that I have that presents itself for me to tell them about their name, so they know, that what the meaning of their name, what their name mean, what the people that came before them and held that name up. Every time I go to the library, I go back to Cruiserville. People don't understand that's the significance of that, but I know why, and I know that's where my story began, and that no matter where we find ourselves in the world, that we have to lift our heads up high. I hope that whether you are a Padmo, you are a Yakpawolo, you are whatever your name is, that you hold your head up high when you carry that name. When you are tempted to act out of character, that the name that you carry holds you to true character and prevents you from acting upon such. That's what I can wish for me or and anybody else, any other librarian out there that watches this show. Wait, nothing about me, man. I'm not talking too much about me, man.
No, but listen, we all have, like when I say the birdie, it's the same thing. You go, you hungry, you see somebody, you go to the widow market, you see Grandpa, you want to take it, you say, damn it, when they catch me,
yes,
the papi gonna, because they don't call your mom name, it's always, the old man's son.
Yeah.
So it's a birdie, it's a good birdie.
Yes.
That you have to know that, listen, I'm not only here, I'm representing somebody, my parents.
Mm-hmm.
When the guys go, I remember my son was playing AAU basketball. When we go and the gymnasium is full, you hear people shouting, "That's my son! That's my son!" Okay, it's a pride, and every child wants to make their parent proud. Mm-hmm. This is what we are saying when we come on these shows. We all bring different upbringing, we bring different experiences. When you look at Edward Doe when he was alive, every day he wants to argue because this guy was so brilliant. He expect everybody to be like him. And I would tell him, I said, listen, Mr. Doe, don't come here asking me for the formula for a quadratic equation and all. That's not why we
quadratic equation.
We're not here for that, Edward. We pass that stuff. We're here to talk about real life, and this is when Jimmy Eastman comes in, and he wants now to tell us this is what you do with all the engineering things you do. After when you leave the class and you get your certificate, it's a whole different thing when you interfere, Mr. Eastman.
Oh yeah, education is good, but I still hold the opinion that good behavior, moral behavior is better. We have people who are geniuses and have gained all kinds of education, but they don't give back to humanity. But when you're moral, you follow a code of ethics, you can be more powerful. Your contribution to society can be more. It's something, and I think good name. Well, they have a saying. What's it? Good name can go further than money or something like that. They got an old saying. So as much, you're right. There is a legacy that you are held to uphold. There is a legacy, but I think if you're more humanitarian, if you give back to your society, I think that I will hold that in high esteem than just having a big name. Your gift to humanity, I think, is even more.
Excellent. Saint Walter said, "We have never guessed a preacher's kid would stray into the world of propaganda."
Yeah.
I
never met a preacher's kid that was good. All the pastor children I know, Baba.
I'm the only exception here.
All the pastor children, Baba.
Because listen, the people when you in a house like my older brother, we get up 6 o'clock in the morning. We do on Sundays, we do morning prayer. Then we go to Sunday school at 10. Then we go to regular church. Then we come home and have something to eat. Then we go back to evening service. It got to the point where my older brother said, "Damn it, I ain't going to church no more." So the old man, my grandma would cry and say, "The devil have taken over the ball." The guy said, "Yes, I ain't going. I had too much prayer. I prayed this morning. I prayed this after one church. I prayed. I came back. I had to go back. No time to play football." So he quit. This is what happened when the children rebel. They are overdosed. I mean, how many churches? How many times can we go to church in one day? So these things happen. That's why preachers' children are usually terrible.
Yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen, if you
they want to know about your journey too.
Oh yeah, we'll come down to that. Do we have time here? I want to also talk about some of the social issue, but yeah, let me talk about myself a little bit, Mr. Waller.
Yes, please.
I was born in Grand Bassa County. Obviously, my parents were peasant. My father was a farmer, just like this man's father is. And they sent me to live with the Porters. The late Honorable, the Senator Uriah Porters ran my auntie, so I lived with them to go to school, and they took me. The lady was married to a gentleman that was part of NIOC in Manor River, so I went to Manor River, where I met the Edwin Snows and all of these folks. We all went to school in Manor River, grew up there. And then after that, middle school, I went to Buchanan and came across a gentleman by the name of Dr. G. Franklin Holt. And he took me away from my father's church to the AME church. And I got into the AME church. I met the Camels, the J. Wilson McLean. They introduced me to Louis York. They said this man had run for the youth president. He won. So Dr. Holt and Mrs. York put me in touch with the real gurus of Monrovia Society. So when I came from Monrovia, my mentor was, they paired me with Michael Wright, Councilor Wright. And then when we went to Brewerville, they put me in contact with the Wilsons in Brewerville. So I was well connected in the Monrovia area every time I came to Monrovia. When we had our youth convention, I remember the last one we had was at J. Wilson McLean compound in Bentall, just before the coup. And we had a great time. It was when they were molding young leaders. They were doing leadership training for up-and-coming students to do all of that great stuff. And I was lucky enough through Mrs. York and everybody else to have gotten the opportunity to come to New Jersey and go to the University of New Jersey to go to school, all blah, blah, blah. So yes, but the politics of it, in high school, we were all gung-ho. 1977, we heard that there was a gentleman coming from America. His name was Bacchus Matthew, and they had this organization called POW. And they came, and all the young folks, we knew nothing about politics, but we just joined. I mean, Bacchus Matthew was so hot. Everybody joined. There was a dichotomy between the old order, which were the Tipotay and Sawyer group. They had their own movement, but for some reason, everybody gravitated towards Bacchus Matthews because the Sawyer group had Dr. Sawyer, Dr. Tipotay, Dr. Fab. Everybody was doctor. So the common people say, you know what? We don't belong in our group. And Bacchus Matthews, everybody went that way. So we all joined the movement and began to do everything. And then 1980, I left the country and came to the U.S. So I only experienced the coup for a few days, but I never went through the war. Those who went through the war my brother told me, and those of you who were there, said, Jerome, what you saw in the coup was play stuff. What you saw in the war, you cannot compare it to anything that you experienced while you were in Liberia. And then when I came to the States, I was lucky to be in the graces of great folks. When I moved to the state of Florida for school, I was met by the Honorable Michael Dukakis. He was the chair of public policy here at the university. And when everybody introduced themselves, I say I was Jerome from Liberia. He was shocked. He says, who sponsored you in this class? I said, no one did. I said, your class came up and they said the criteria was you had to be a public policy expert, you had to be a mayor, former mayor, you got to be a governor, former governor, or you should have taken political science 1, political science 2, sociology 1, and I met all of those criteria. So we got into that class, and we were 24 in the class. The son of the Jamaican president was there. The son of the Brazilian president was there. Then there was a famous kid in that class, a gentleman who formed the secret society of Haiti, they called Tonton Macoute. Can you imagine the son of one of the most ruthless human beings were in that class? So we learned a lot from different cultures. We had Cuban, we got Brazilian, we had people from Argentina. I was the only Liberian, so we got some great education. I'm saying this to say, being in the right spot, knowing the right people, and taking advantage of the situation. Again, your parents' name, it was a burden. This boy from Bassa is here. He's among some of the best. And do I want to be the least in this class? No. Do I want to be the worst in this class? No. So all of these things were burning. And when I began to have my own children, the same thing I was telling them. I remember my son and I, the school had called me and said, your son is behaving terribly here. And this is unusual. I was at a meeting, board meeting. I told the folks, I said, you give me about 30 minutes, I'll be back. I called the principal, I said, keep him in the office and I will meet him there. I got into that office, took on my belt. The principal said, oh, no, you can't do that here. I said, can you please excuse us? She said, that I can do. She left and closed the door and went into the cafeteria and left me with that bucket. 4th grade, I remember. I asked him what happened. He says, I was in line getting my food and this I choked him and threw him down, told him to go to the back of the line. I said, you can't do that. You're going to get some spanking for that. So I'm saying this as a father, what was ingrained in me, I was able to pass it on to him. And I say, you are not just here because of you. You got a family need to protect. You are the only Black person in this class. They expect you to behave this way. Even if you were right, you can't handle yourself this way. So today, last January, June, he called me from Providence, Rhode Island, and said, Doc, so I've been accepted into the PhD program. I am carrying the family name. I'm going to be a PhD, Doctor of Pharmacology. I said, wow. So then I asked him, I said, Biko, I said, everything I have talked to you, are you disappointed in anything? He said, you know what, Dad? I'm happy that you were able to spank the hell out of me to get me in line, because some of the guys that I grew up with, they are in jail. Because most of them came from single family home. Mother were working 2-3 jobs to make sure that they made it. So they were self-raised. They came from good homes. But because this guy had a father figure, like Pat was saying, when mom said, you wait until daddy gets home, that alone will put it, even if she won't tell him, but just put that fear in you. So my son is telling me that what my parents instilled in me, that rotten that I took in Bassa, to pass it on to him, and hopefully he will continue. So yes, gentlemen, it is, we came out rough, whether you are a bestman, whether you are Eastman or you are Padmore, that rod didn't have no name on it. That switch. If you did something wrong, someone would take care of you. And if you went out and you did something wrong to the Padmore house, whether you Eastman or Bestman, they will spank you there. And you come home, you better shut up. Because if you tell your daddy that the Padmore spanked me, I said, why did the Padmore spank you? And you don't want them to call and say, well, he came to the house, and he will be an asshole. Excuse the language. Then you go home, you got double beating. So for those of the young folks who are out here, it is opportunity. It is taking seriously what God gives you. And if you come from wherever you come from, you got to be better than your past. You got to be better than your parents. Your parents are looking up to you to do the best you can. So this young man from Nuclear Town, Edward Doe, from Nuclear Town, went to St. Patrick's, the top of his class, 1979. It is that they say in the history of St. Patrick, for two kids to get identical grades at top of the line. The difference was, they said, difference between he and the gentleman who beat it was one had perfect attendance. I mean, you got equal, the people got to find a way now to break the tie.
To break the tie.
Perfect attendance. There you go, Mr. Doe. Perfect attendance. Difference of 1 day. Perfect attendance. And both of them went on to be great. The other gentleman went to MIT. He became a chemical engineer, and he became a finance expert. So you see how great we all came up and did well. It is hard work, it is integrity, and it is pushing yourself to the limit. Mr. Padmo is here. Sometimes he comes from work. He says, "Man, I work 12-hour shift, I work 9-hour shift," but yet and still, he's pushing himself to come out here. So we took this day to say thank you to these great men. Next Sunday, we'll bring Dennis Jar and the rest of the guys who are here for us to say thank you to them, so you can know them a little more, so you get some degree of respect. The few minutes we got, we have about 35 minutes. Let's talk about some current event now. Now, guys, you guys can choose any one that is very, very, very dear to my heart. Is this gentleman who raped an 8-month-old baby. Sacramento City, Nima County, police in Sacramento, Nima County have arrested and charged a 23-year-old Otis Yebo for the brutal rape of an 8-month-old baby, as well as attempted murder. The suspect is currently being held at the San Quentin Central Prison awaiting trial. According to authorities, the horrific assault took place in Banquet Town, District Number 7, which is my friend Musa Beliti's district, located along the Sacramento-Tapeta Highway. Yebo is alleged to have subjected the infant to a grotesque attack, which caused severe damage to the victim's private parts and anus. Family sources reviewed to Front Page Africa, Otis Yebo has been terrorizing the community for years. This is this young man. But what is more important today to this story, in this particular district, there have been 20 rape cases in this one district. 20. Among the 20 rapists charged, one is the magistrate. The magistrate in this district himself was arrested for sexual abuse. Court record revealed that there are over 20 reported rape cases highlighting a disturbing prevalence of sexual violence in this particular community. Despite the serious nature and number of cases, reported awareness and education about rape and sexual assault remain surprisingly low. So the folks in that area, government is not putting in the money, nobody is doing things, and the magistrate himself was arrested for raping a girl. The magistrate. Mr. Eastman, this is an attack on our women, on our children, now babies. The 8-month-old baby.
It's unimaginable. In certain places, we say, "I wonder if they wish," because how can somebody bring themselves to do such a heinous act as that? It doesn't even make sense to me, you know. And for me, I'm very sensitive about children. You know, I can't even stand the thought of somebody hurting a child for any reason. And yeah, you hear this kind of atrocity being committed. If our system, the way that we punish people, men, let me say, because most of the cases I've heard are always been men.
Mm-hmm.
The way we process them and punish them is not working very well. At one point, we are administration, this thing were growing rampant, and they decided to enforce the laws, and so at that time, it stopped becoming a bailable incident. So once you accused and brought to the court, you had to go to jail immediately, and you had to stand. But what happens is when these perpetrators go to jail, the processing of the case takes so long that eventually these persons are let out of jail. So when you see it like that, that the regular trial period is causing the gravity of the case to kind of lose momentum, then you have to have another system, parallel system that would adjudicate these cases faster. So if we're going to address this issue, we can't let it be processed through the same method, because it gets lost. All the cases get lost. We need a faster way to bring this to book. We need a faster way to get justice out of this, and so that we do things that will discourage this behavior. But as long as this behavior continues to go unpunished and not dealt with as fast as possible, it will not be curtailed. It will not be curtailed. So we have to come up with a system that will speedily bring justice to the perpetrators of these crimes, and that's the only way it will cease, or at least reduce.
Talking about that, let's go to. We're going to stay in the same area of this rape thing. President Joseph Walker suspend Brian McGill as pressure mounts for the arrest. Police seeks more time. Brian McGill happens to be your kinfolk. He's a permanent family from Grand Bassa. I know the family. Said President Joseph Walker has suspended Deputy Minister for Youth Development at the Ministry of Youth and Sport, Brian McGill, following serious allegations linking him to rape of a 14-year-old girl. The executive mansion confirmed the suspension on Wednesday, stating that the decision aligned with the government's zero-tolerance policy on sexual and gender-based violence, and is intended to allow for a fair and transparent investigation. This decision has been taken in line with the government's zero-tolerance policy towards all forms of sexual and gender-based violence, and to ensure a fair and transparent investigation. Deputy Minister McGill will remain suspended until the conclusion of the investigation, the statement said. But then, on the flip side, we have here from the executive mansion, the president basically has replaced Mr. McGill immediately. So, Honorable Isma, the folks say, when Joseph Walker suspend you, you must leave your own with God. You're done. So while this man has been suspended indefinitely, President Walker has replaced him already with another deputy. So folks are saying we should give President Walker credit for being fast and doing the right thing. And I think we have to give President Walker that much credit. I think he did the right thing. I think it was on point with always, no pun intended. He saw what was right. He did the right thing by suspending this man and firing him, even though he never used the word fire, but replaced him for his replacement within 24 hours. What is your take on the action?
Well, this is the kind of thing we want to see from a leader, because as I'm pointed out, the justice system seems to be slow in processing these cases. Till now, at least until the time of that story was released, the man he had not yet been arrested and put in jail. What is taking them so long to bring to arrest this man? Because if the girl has accused or has established that this man was with her, this 14-year-old girl, and what is prohibiting you from arresting? You want further evidence? What further evidence? Because you can't do a DNA what you call test, rip test at this point, because it happened several days before. So what are you waiting for? So I'm glad that the president, His Honorable Joseph Boakai, took an action to set example that this behavior must not be tolerated. But again, it shows that we have to do something about the processing of these culprits. We have to. If you don't do, what if he didn't have a position in the government? What will happen today? So as much as that is good, I think the next directive needs to go to the courts, the police, that they have to come up with a system that will process these cases faster to bring justice to the people. We have to discourage this behavior. As you can see, it can get out of hand. It has gotten out of hand before, and it can get out of hand again. And the only way to discourage such acts is to have them go through the system, been brought to trial and booked and punished. Certain behavior requires punishment to deter human beings from doing it, and to allow them to go free. We are encouraging similar acts in the future. So wow. We have to bring the hammer down on rape cases in Liberia.
Well, Honorable Eastman, this is what it says. September 19, Executive Mansion release. Following the suspension of Deputy Minister Brian McGill of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, President Boakai Sr. has appointed Mr. F. Alfonso Y. Bellet as Acting Deputy Minister of Youth and Development with immediate effect. In this appointment, the President highlighted the importance of uninterrupted leadership within the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and to ensure the effective implementation of the program empower and inspire Liberian young people. So the supporters of Mr. McGill says, while he has not been convicted of any crime, by the president firing him or replacing him, they think is a presumptions of guilt. What do you think?
There are times when you cannot wait for a person to go through trial and verdict, because the public is waiting. The ministry, just like they said, the ministry has to go on, and so sometimes you just take immediate action to represent where your stance is on such behavior. And in the future, if he is by chance exonerated, well, do you still have sent the message that you are not taking this sort of behavior for granted? You will punish or make sure you expunge You remove those people from in your cabinet and from amongst your chief lieutenants because they are not setting good examples. So I think the move is right, even if he hasn't been brought guilty. It's still necessary because you have to set example. So this is the right thing the president did, and we have to commend him for it.
So what does that say about the IG, who is also a permanent family from Bassa? So here we are, we have another permanent son, McGill from Bassa, and here we had the IG, Coleman from Bassa, and folks are saying it is the Bassa connection because to arrest someone, you do not need to prove anything beyond reasonable doubt. All you wait in the first phase of this is probable cause. Okay, probable cause is the young lady who reported being the young girl, the child who reported being raped, had identified her attacker. She said it's Uncle McGill, and the girl father is the security for Mr. McGill. So he had frequented the family. He's a member of the family, and every time he came to take the kids out, the parent had nothing to say because hey, that's Uncle McGill. And not only is he Uncle McGill, but he's also your father's boss. So the child, the victim, had identified the perpetrator. The hospital had confirmed that yes, the girl was raped. What other probable cause do you need to arrest this man? Because we're not talking beyond reasonable doubt. That's the conviction part of it. That is, the person has to go through the system and they have to exonerate themselves by through that. But initially, it is a probable cause. Do you see probable cause for this man to be arrested? For him to be
Probable cause. Well, once the girl established that he's the perpetrator. Once you also have established that he has been near or around this girl that can be shown, then you have to charge him. And not being a policeman, because before you can charge somebody with a crime, you have to have some certain amount of evidence. But once for a 14-year-old girl to point you out as a perpetrator of the crime, and then you also say they're also substantiated that this girl had been sexually attacked, or it is proper that you take swift action and bring this man to justice. I don't care. I'm not even looking at his position. To me, everybody's equal under the law, regardless of what position you're holding. So I believe Coleman should have been a little more, proactive on this one, because it tends to leave a stigma on how law and how justice is processed in our country. You don't want to appear that a country is allowing those sort of things going on. So I think he should have brought this man in for questioning and detain him and charge him until let his lawyer put up a bill or whatever. But I think the IG should have been a little more proactive on this one. It can be funny because you do need a certain amount of evidence. But like I say, what would motivate a 14-year-old girl to accuse somebody who is close to them like that? So
the IG says he will appeal. He says Liberia does not have the capability, so he will appeal to our international partners, the U.S. Embassy, to do the DNA. But they had DNA agencies in Liberia that were able to indict the arsonists, the so-called arsonists, people who are involved into arson in Liberia, in the Capitol building stuff. They said the AMI or some type agency in Monrovia that does all the DNA for them. So why not go to the particular agency? Why appeal to the United States to do DNA? It makes no sense. But this is why folks are saying this is about the power and the position of the perpetrator.
I don't understand that because, like I told you, during the Weir administration, when they noticed that rape was on the rise, they brought some equipment to be able to test for evidence. They brought it. It's with the gender ministry, and I remember this very distinctly. So why now? Just a couple of years later, what happened to the machine and the equipment they brought? Because that was a problem before, that they didn't have the necessary tools to quickly test and to prove culpability. But here it is now. We've got it. We brought it in the country. What has happened to it that now we cannot use it?
I remember vividly, as you said, the machine was brought. People were sent to be trained, and they were trained on the machine, and they were using it. All of a sudden, I don't know why they're saying
they don't have it now.
We can't. It is. For those of us who got children, even if you didn't have children, to see the kind of abuse. When we were growing up, they say, "Oh, they caught this guy. He got too many girlfriends, this and that," and people, people got upset. But never have I seen that people will rape babies, will rape. Sometimes I want to believe it's psychotic. It's a psychosis that somebody will leave a 30-year-old beautiful woman, 29-year-old beautiful woman, 40-year-old beautiful woman, single. And go, but like the folks say, rape is a thing of power. It's a power play. Somebody has absolute power over somebody, whether it is through might, through finances, through power. Like we're seeing, Mr. McGill is a deputy minister for youth development. He's in charge of all the young folks in the country. He also had that power. He hired a man, the child father. So basically, the livelihood of this family was in his hands financially. So he had that power. Not only was he deputy minister, but he also had the financial power. So here you are, another power play. In the other hand, there's a 21-year-old man who is stronger, older, visiting a family. They entrusted him to take care of the baby while the mother went to do some errand, and you come back and the baby is dead. It's the power dynamics here. But let's go to our last part here. President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf regrets not doing more for Liberian youth. After the Civil War during her administration, she admitted. She said her only regret is she could have done more and she didn't. A week after that, former Youth and Sports Minister D. Wilson Zioga also had a frank discussion where he said, basically, our government did very little, failed the youth of the country. He said, former Youth and Sport Minister D. Zioga Wilson franked this admission that the Weir administration failed, has cracked open an old but persistent debate that George Weir presidency was incompetent. Loyalists of the ex-president from Activate 1-2 Tier 1-2 to Port Executive Civica Basigia have unleashed a barrage of insults on Wilson, branding him an empty skull, inept, and credentialless. But in the eyes of the political analysts, these attacks, instead of shielding Weir's legacy, have only reinforced the argument long made by critics that the Weir government was filled with inexperienced appointees who lacked the capacity to deliver. Some are saying this is why Mr. Yoga Wilson was put into that position. He's a former football player. He played for Barrow. He played for Lone Star. So when the president came, he said, nobody else I trust I can elevate this post. So now you become the minister proper. Do all you can. 6 years, he did nothing. Then after 6 years, he wanted to apologize to the folks that he failed. So the weird folks now turn on him and say, you are stupid, you are a non-skull, you are empty skull, you are inept, you have no credential. But what does this say about Mr. Weir? If you have somebody in your employ with a mandate, at least 3 years midway, if that person is not performing, you get rid of the person. But the president allowed this guy to hang around for 6 years, enjoy the privileges that came with the position and the largesse, only to say, oh, I failed, I didn't do much, I should. So these guys are saying this man should not have held the job in the first place.
I think this goes down to management and accountability. You and I both know that while we work for corporate America, and we are evaluated twice a year. You have a mid-year evaluation that tends to guide you whether you're meeting your expectations, and you have an end-of-year guide evaluation, and that will determine if you met your criteria for that year. We have to put the same measure of accountability on these all our officials. If they're not performing, they should be warned and then eventually dismissed if they cannot correct their behavior. But you also have to provide them with the resources necessary to carry out their function. Now, the president, you say President Sirleaf admitted that she didn't do enough.
Mm-hmm.
What is the reason you didn't have what is the reason you don't do enough? And I think, and I want to agree that I don't see enough money in the budget raising the capacity of our youth and our people. I think we need to put much more emphasis on developing our youth and less more paying fabulous salaries to legislature, giving them fabulous benefits when our youth are not getting the basic training, education they need for tomorrow. The youth are our future. I think, and just look at the budget. That will reveal if we're going in the right direction or not. And administration after administration, we're seeing the same thing. Why is that? Why are other things being prioritized and not our youth, who are the future? So I think it's a mistake by the administration. And it has to be corrected, or they will have to pay in the future. They will be judged by the failure.
Yeah, but Honorable Eastman, there are two major ministries in the Republic of Liberia that make a lot of money from the international community, which is Ministry of Gender. That's one area where the whole world is in sympathy with the women and the issue. The other one is youth and sports, youth. So those people that lead those particular ministries have to be people who have an outward view of leveraging that position on the international community to bring in resources, not necessarily money from the budget, because it's just not enough. But
Right.
if you can leverage, okay, like President Ellen used to do, right? She understood the international community. She knew what she wanted. And she went to those agencies and those institutes or institutions that were geared towards those particular agencies. Like, she put a lot of emphasis on women's issues. So the international community did fund that particular area well. So, Honor President, most people thought the Ministry of Sports, where he has access to FIFA, the EU, the Premier League, the Italian League, all the leagues, the major leagues that he played in, that he could leverage his position to actually do more in Liberia. So whoever was heading that particular position could have said, listen, Mr. President, this is what I think we should do. This is how much it's going to cost. And now empower me. Just make the call. Tell the force I'm coming. Open doors. He didn't do that. But only to come and say, okay, I took pay for 6 years. I got a big cars. I got the security when I'm going, the flag. I'm a minister, but I didn't do anything. I mean, to me, it is, well, the folks are saying that he and the president are now on speaking terms now because the president is upset that he actually failed. Will you blame the president? Now, listen, I cannot be the jack of all trades. You are my right hand man. I know, Honorable Eastman is the best at diplomacy. I'm president of the Republic of Liberia. Chief, you're going to be my foreign minister. I want everything in that ministry to be perfect. And then you did absolutely nothing. Later I said, Mr. G, man, I spent 6 years. I could have done better, but I'm sorry, man, for failing you. And then you pack your clothes and go back to the States, take your money with you. You enjoy yourself sipping on your cigar and say, I failed or we failed. This is where we are coming from. That ministry could have been one of the best honored presidents we are.
Yeah, again, President Weah had to make the right decisions. We if anything, I think that's the only thing that I will hold President Weah to. If you had people who are not doing their job, why didn't you replace them? You know, because that's what we all expected. But very few people were let go, or even if he even reshuffled them.
He never did.
Yeah, so I think he has to hold himself accountable to that, because some of these people were not doing too well, and you kept them on. I think your loyalty should be to the Liberian people, not to those people who supported you in your campaign, but to Liberian people, because you were elected to do their job. And if your people are not doing the job they should, then you are not doing your job. So you have to take action. You have to make sure you got the right personnel in place so that it can complete the job.
Well, as a man who runs a business that get money from the government, I've hired someone who I call quality control. Their job is to go around to the different departments, just show up and make sure that this department is working, that department is working, this department is working, because I can't be everywhere.
Exactly.
So the person comes in, goes into this department, make sure everything, because comes this coming October 1st, our audit process will begin. The letter is going to come from the auditors, all your funders, all your bank, everything has to be reconciled. They will send you the letter, you sign it, it goes to all the banks, all the funders, to the county, to the state, to the federal government, to the different foundations that give you money, authorizing them to go and get their records. And then to go and do that, because it's independent. You don't have anything to do with them. So for them to do these things, I have to make sure that by the end of this month, because the fiscal year starts October 1, the federal fiscal year starts October 1. By September 30th, everything should have been done. And that's how it works. But for you to sit there and allow someone to sit in one spot for 6 years without evaluation, to me, you are right. It is management style. We have come to the end of our program. Chief, give us your closing argument here so we can move on.
Okay, so we are looking forward to interviewing other members of our team next week, so the public can get to know who they are personally. So come back next week so you can hear from people like Dennis Jah, Anthony Sia, Aliyu Kamara, Fidel, and who else we got? As many as we can. So you will kind of know.
We got Joe Tower.
Oh yes, Mr. Tower. Even people like what were what we call him, the new
progressive.
The new progressive. We want all of them to come on so you can know who they are. You hear their stories. Everybody has a story, and we appreciate you being here. Well, we also touched on some topics that plague in our country. We have the rape issue in our country. The only way we will curtail it, or at least reduce the number of times it occurs, is if we take swift, stringent action on the perpetrators. Anything less than that, it will continue. So we applaud the dismissal or the replacement, the suspension and replacement of this accused person, but we need the justice system to be able to bring the hammer down quickly against these kind of people. So we look forward to being here next week, right? And we hope that what we can offer, to as suggestion to the administrations, that they can take it into consideration and see how we can improve Liberia. Next weekend, if I realize there's supposed to be a diaspora meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So part of the reason they having this meeting is to bring suggestions to the administration of how some things can be improved in Liberia and what the diaspora can do to help improve those things. So it should be interesting next week, and we'll bring you coverage on it.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We decided to take this time to thank all of our panelists. I want to introduce them to you. When we started this show with Mr. Doe, little did we know that 6 months after we started this show, less than a year, he would die from pancreatic cancer. A man with a lot of vision, a lot of know-how. No one knew. Then it brings us back to our own faith. As Christians, we believe that the scripture says tomorrow is not guaranteed to anyone. So we want to give our flowers to our panelists, tell them thank you, get to know who they are. Just in case tomorrow, Monday, we don't wake up, at least you will have known who Mr. Mr. Eastman is, and who Mr. Padmo is, and who I am. I keep saying Bestman because the Bassa people will love the Bestman business.
But Jim Bestman was my uncle.
There you go. Bestman and Barrow and Eastman, those three people, we can't get rid of that in the Bassa culture. They're all Bassa folks. So we want to thank you for tuning in. We paid tribute to Mr. Doe. His wife and the children are listening. We appreciate the vision of his. We will continue as long as we can. And these are the men. We are looking for some women to come and help us out. So it can be an all boys network. Thank you very much. And as always, we say next week we'll be here. If it's Sunday, we say we are all Liberian, no matter your background. Jimmy, can you take us out? We are all
Liberian. Liberian.